So it's just part of the business model now. That's just, it is what it is. If you want to attract this business, or in our case, retain the business, you have to be in the business of tax credits or some sort of financial incentive. So after many, many years of effort by a whole coordinated effort by our industry coalition, our state legislature created a tax credit program in 2009, and so we're in our 5th year of that, and it's very effective, it's very competitive, and yet to the extent that funding is available. So the big issue that everyone also is probably well aware of is that we have $100 million a year to allocate, which sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot for us.
So if we're giving out 1 pound of tax relief, we're bringing in 12 pounds of, vital money that's helping support jobs that, in the cases of some things is helping create tourism. Game of Thrones in Northern Ireland is a prime example of a show that's come in and really boosted that industry in and around Belfast, and what Northern Ireland Screen has done to support the show and then support, building new facilities and training up new crews so that now, they're much more experienced and they have a crew that's much deeper than it used to be. So now feature films very much want to shoot there because they know they have the expertise on the ground. I mean, that's really invaluable when you're talking about building jobs and, building economies in some of these places.
Yeah, Midnight in Paris. You have seen the quality of Midnight in Paris. Why? It's quite a very well-made movie. It has been totally done by a French crew, and this is actually the way. This is actually our second incentive, and this is, I think, somewhere that we, all the three of us, we have in common. Is that there is a lot of talk about minus 20%, minus 30%, and we can see sign here at the location show about minus 40. I've seen a minus 45%, which is insane. But at the end of the day, I understand that it makes a lot of people comfortable to see minus something. But what the most important is also what you don't have to pay.
I think in general there's one side of the lawmakers, the legislators, or taxpayers, as you were saying, who can look at this and say, you're given what?
Right.
The numbers are so huge, and most of the time people don't really understand the kind of dollars we're talking about with these programs. When they do take a look at that, they can find it quite shocking that a project's getting $15–20 million from the state. But I think it is true that you can't look at that in a vacuum, and we are always trying to demonstrate exactly that. For ours, we say we've allocated $500 million in credits over the past 5 years, but those projects that have participated in that are spending $3.9 billion. That's no multiplier. That's just really what they're spending in wages and in rentals and in all of that. And it's taxes and it's tax revenue back to the state.
Kind of our tax incentive relies, as most European countries do, on a cultural test and having to qualify via a cultural test so that there's some tie into the UK and the UK community that's somehow reflected in the film, in addition to kind of everyone that's working on it. But for us as well, because we're covering Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, in and around the southeast of England, around London, certainly is where a lot of the big feature films often tend to base themselves. But for the new TV tax incentive that the UK has just introduced, there's probably a lot more, in fact, I know there's a lot more opportunity for some of those TV shows to go into other areas to help kind of regenerate and boost those areas.
When we wrote our cultural test, we had yours already, and the German one. So we wrote something which is probably far easier to pass. Because, for instance, we decided that you have all in your movies, you have many monsters, aliens, gods, animals. For us, it's one of these creatures. It's from somewhere, it's from anywhere, it's from everywhere, so it's European. So we welcome all you aliens, your gods. I mean, Thor qualified. If you remember Marvel's movie Thor, it's qualified. So that.